Good evening, good morning. It's a sunny day. It's not raining like it is in our movie. Miss Trouble number one, how are you? I hope it's sunny where you are.
Well, to answer your question, trouble number two, it's sunny. It ain't raining. But worryingly, we've got the rain coming tomorrow with the cold. So, but other than that, I'm a bit like the weather. I'm a little bit cheerful, but I'm also a little bit on edge. But there you go. Life being as life is.
Sounds a little bit like the movie that we're going to review today called Weathering with You.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Indeed. Do you wish me to continue with the preamble, my dear, or do you want to carry on?
Oh, you can continue. I kind of threw the ball over at you.
Okay, I will catch that, said Sir Bob, and look at the customers and say, "Yep, you've got me again." We are going to be looking at Weathering with You, another Shinkai film. It kind of follows on from Your Name in the general ballpark universe. This one was released in 2019 and follows a basically a 16-year-old runaway in Tokyo and the sort of adventures that he gets caught up in. It's a sort of romantic fantasy film, bit of a rom-com, but then again, parts of it will make you stop and think and make you look. And just like Your Name, it's set in Tokyo. So locations that you see in the film, just like with Your Name, are real places, real locations. And if you really, really want to, and you got the money and you go to Japan, just like Your Name, you go visit these places. And we will no doubt dip in and out of these locations as we move along.
And I was getting ready to send over something into the chat room that also covers a YouTube video of a young gentleman, and he went through all of these places. And I think he covered, like I said, about 9 or 10 of these spots throughout the entire film, and then shows them side by side with what they are, and then where you see them in the movie, and they are dead on.
Mm-hmm. And as Senkai himself says, these are all hand drawn. These are all hand drawn. When you see Hokada having that fight in the alleyway, all those raindrops that you see on the face, all the raindrops bouncing around on the ground, the soaked clothes, the umbrellas, that's all hand drawn. The only time he actually admitted that he used a little bit of CGI is when he's running up the stairs to the roof near the end of the film. That was a little bit of CGI. And there was a reason it seemed to take a little bit longer than you thought. And that has to do with the music.
So it all flows consensually with the music.
Yeah. Quite surprisingly, with this film, as with Your Name, Shinkai decided to work with the Radwimps. And when he first did the layout or the outlay for this particular film, he took the first script that he'd written, and he wanted music. So he sent it to the lead singer of the group, the Radwimps. Now, it took the guy something in the region of 3 months before he actually got back to Mikoto Shinkai. And when he wrote back, he wrote 2 songs. The 2 main songs that you hear throughout the film. Shinkai was so taken with these 2 songs, he actually used, where we normally say the soundtrack and the graphics complement one another.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in this case, the soundtrack actually leads the graphics because he made it so that what you saw animated on the screen went with the song directly.
Kind of like certain movies that we've had done, that the songs, for example, Footloose, that whole dance that they did was actually choreographed and written to the music because he had to write the music first and come up with it to then come up with the dance moves that went with it, not the
Yeah,
opposite way, which is normally
exactly.
how it's done in movies.
Yeah. As there was an interview with Mikoto Shinkai, and he actually said when they'd finished the film, they did not have to add any music whatsoever. The animation and the songs were all done at the same time. You know, the songs and the animation went with the songs, and that's how he decided to do it with this. He wanted to be something different, and I think, to be perfectly frank and honest, when you watch the film, which the Japanese call Tenki no Ko, which is Child of the Weather, I think you'll find, yeah, he hits all the marks, and the music certainly does. In this particular film, I think the music really does add another dimension.
I think it does too. In fact, it almost helps you. Let me back up there for a minute. One of my small and very, very small issues I had with the movie is we already know that Your Name was such a huge, huge success. He
Hmm.
actually came out and said, "People, you need to stop watching this movie. You're becoming, fanatical about it."
Yeah,
But because of the huge success for it, he kind of went and redid the same formula and format with Weathering with You.
yeah,
And we were hoping maybe he would break out a little bit differently, but it was the same principles, like I said, the same formula, a some sort of disaster, two star-crossed teenage lovers with some sort of mythical thing going on. And the music to me made it go from a B plus up to an A movie because of that.
yeah. Well, he deliberately went that way. When he first started, and he did Voices from a Distant Star, and you know
Hmm.
all that sort of thing, and Garden of Words, that was sort of like his learning curve. As I said, with 5 centimeters per second, when you look at 5 centimeters per second, and then you look at with Your Name, there is a lot of crossover. You can see similarities
Hmm. Oh, you
within the
can.
film. With Your Name and this, yeah, you have two kids. The only difference, I think, this time is the kids are in the same location, whereas in 5 centimeters per second, they're at different ends of the country. Your Name, there's the distance and the time, so there's a distance there. This one, they're both in the same location, and they're both having to face the problems together, face on.
Together. I agree with you with that. But, like you were saying with the music, though, that is actually the one thing for me. And
Yeah.
everybody has their own different opinion. That was just one thing with me that, kind of like, it's a great movie. I've watched it time and time and time again.
Oh yeah.
And, because it is coming in, out in basically a trilogy of type movies, because we're going to, see another one within the same, genre, with Suzume following up. Um, I was expecting more. I'm not ashamed to say I cried a lot, you know, with the first one. This one, not so much. And I was hoping for that heart pounding, that feel. And it
Mhm.
wasn't. I wound up giggling and laughing my way through it. It was more of a fun movie in some aspects because of some
Yeah.
of the things more than a you're holding your breath type moment.
True.
So the music to me kicked it just up and over into that other level.
Yeah. Well, I think, as I said, Shinkai wanted to make sure that the music is what took you along. Whereas in Your Name, it's the visuals that take you along, and the music helps with it. With this, it's the music takes you along, and the visuals just add that little bit extra. That's about it. I mean, it came out in July 2019. Didn't hit the States though until January 2020.
We
So
were just starting to get into the midst of COVID as well.
yeah. So I mean, the film grossed, according to this, it grossed over $193.8 million worldwide, and it became the highest grossing Japanese film in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
and the 11th highest Japanese grossing film of all time.
Yeah, I was going to say up until Boy and the Heron. Up
Mm,
until that one, I think it was within the top 10, but I think
yeah.
it pushed it out into the 11th.
Yeah, well, it won a number of awards. I mean, it got it was selected for entry to the Best International Feature Film at the 92nd Academy Awards. It wasn't nominated. It received 4 Annie Awards, including Best Independent Animated Feature, tying, believe it or not, tying with Spirited Away and Millennium Actress, which were both from 2001.
Really?
Yeah. And it also, we had Ghost in the Shell to Innocence 2005, which, so it's done well. It's done well in the award categories. The film itself is just over 100 minutes long, I think 112 something, 113 minutes long or thereabouts.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Though at times when you're watching it, you think, well, wow, what's just happened, because it goes off.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to, especially when the rain happens and he has to chase the young lady because Hina.
Well, I think there's a lot that goes on because, one, he's a 16-year-old kid off on this whole adventure by himself.
He's
He almost literally gets swept overboard. If it hadn't have been for a very swift acting person who later, proceeds to help him through the whole thing through the movie and support him, that would have kind of been the end of it.
Yeah, I mean he is he's basically a runaway.
Yes.
He's a runaway, and this is something which, when you watch the film, you suddenly see just what life is like for a runaway in Tokyo when you're homeless. It throws it into sharp relief because he's sleeping in a doorway and he gets, shall we say, rough handled to move.
Oh, yeah.
So money wise, he has to literally eke things out very, very hard. Plus, there's I suppose you could say, in a backhanded way, there's an environmental theme running through the film, through climate change, with how you're now getting all these, so we say, non-stop weather patterns hitting you.
I think that is the first thing that you see that gets you, but I don't think that's the true meaning behind the movie. That's what, okay, you sit down, you watch, that's the first thing that goes through your head, but I think it's much deeper than that. And there's so many levels to this. Because
Yeah.
remember, they all want sun or sunny days for all different sorts of reasons. But what are
Hmm.
they willing to do for it? And what are they willing to lose? I mean, remember, for everything that you get or rewarded for, there is always a counterbalance. How
Yeah,
far you counterbalance?
exactly. And I mean, when the I can never remember the guy's name, the one that helps him on the boat and
Oh,
then gives him the job.
Suga,
You never remember that particular
Shuga,
individual's name? Pub
Shuga. That's it.
Yuga. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when he goes to the priest
Hmm.
and they're discussing it with the priest, as the priest said, a sunshine girl has to pay the ultimate price.
Yeah.
For as you know, it's the old adage: for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction.
Reaction. Exactly. You know, it has to do, I think, a lot with people suffering, what they're going through in their lives, and like I said, what to relieve that suffering. What are you willing to do, or
Hmm.
are you to live with certain things because that to relieve that little bit of suffering would not necessarily be the best for everything.
Oh, certainly. I mean, when you look at Suga, the reason Suga helps the kid is the fact that he can see himself
Hmm.
because he did exactly the same.
Exactly.
So he ran away. Um, of course, they the kid leaps to the wrong conclusion with the young
Oh,
lady
well,
and
see,
thinks,
what do you expect when he goes into that messy apartment and he sees her? And I'm sorry, the way that camera angle was drawn, that one shot was drawn. You see her
which
laying there
camera angle are you on about?
straight up, straight.
There's one or two camera angles that make you sit
I'm
back
not.
and wonder.
I'm not talking about her bust area. I'm talking about the one where you see it shot from her straight up the behind.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's almost a little bit risque for a in general family anime.
True, true. But then again, we are looking at it from a Western point of view,
True.
and as I have pointed out on more than one occasion to several other people that I've spoken to, the Japanese don't necessarily look at it in the same fashion. Come what may, they are a very personal race. They do like their personal space, and they do have a lot of manners. But certain things that they do, we look on as rather strange. And
You know,
with
it
this,
could come, I mean, to interrupt you, but it could come down from the old Victorian principles, you
mm,
know. And I don't think that English society or Eastern, had all come down from it all being as prudish as it was until the Victorian era.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
You know.
Victorian era is what, yeah. The old adage you get over here is, "I am not amused."
Hmm.
Yeah, she wasn't amused. But then again, and I think actually, although Victoria is blamed for that attitude, I think she picked it up from Albert, who in fact was German.
That could be.
So it's a mute point. We look at things in a certain fashion, um, and these other societies look at it in another way. Um, I think a bit like some of the stuff that gets done in Western society, it's a little bit of, shall we say, titillation. It's not what you can see, it's what you think you can see.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah, it's not what's there, what you can see. It's what you think you can. Which way does your mind go?
Hmm.
Does your mind just look at what you see and you see what's there, or does your mind go into the gutter and you see something else?
Yeah,
Most young men, most young boys would look at that and their mind would go straight into the gutter.
well, of
Boom.
course.
Of
Well,
course.
especially
What?
with her bosoms. I mean, that's the first thing that he's staring at.
Yeah. I mean, he walks in and he goes. Then he buy.
Hmm.
Then she wakes up and says, "You're looking at my boobs." And of course, then the embarrassment starts.
Of course, he's a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah,
He's a hormonal 16-year-old kid.
yeah. And what gets me with a 16-year-old kid is Hina is actually a year younger than him and bluffs him that she's
Oh, I
3
know.
years older.
But you know what? She acts a lot more mature.
Well, yeah, but then again, if you think about it, in reality, girls do.
True, but I also think, and this comes from my own background, she had to do something at a very young age because obviously she didn't have a father anymore. Her mother just died. So her mother had to have been ill maybe leading up to it. So she was in charge of the house and caring for her brother and other things, which
Yeah,
was very similar to how I grew up. So you learn very early to keep a house,
yeah.
bake it well, cook, things like that. So
That's true.
it was easy for her, I think, to fall into that older role.
Oh, yeah. I mean, um, Hodaka, in many, many ways, although he's 16, um, I don't think he is as mature as Hina.
Mm-mm.
I mean, he does make so many, or walks into so many situations, and you think if he had a little bit more maturity, he wouldn't quite end
Not
up
quite that
where
much.
he is. No. I
No.
mean, when he finds the gun, I mean, most mature people would have thought, aye, aye, put it back, leave it alone. They wouldn't have walked off with the damn thing.
True, they wouldn't have, but also you have to remember this is not, US. This is not even, the UK's type stuff with firearms. This is Japan. And Japan has a whole different system when it comes to that. One,
Yeah,
you don't have firearms, and ammunition is even worse that can get you a life in prison if you're found with it, let alone use it.
yeah,
So if he's seeing it, he in his mind had to have thought of it as a toy because even when he pulled it on the Yakuza, club owner, he had to have thought it was a toy because if he'd have truly thought, it was real, it was been a whole different situation because even in Japan, the Yakuza do not use firearms.
They don't have to. they just
No,
they
well,
just
no,
show up.
but
Yeah, but
no,
yeah, I know
but
what you're
yeah,
coming from. It's just like they just have to show up and say what they
yeah,
are, and a lot of people just they have this aura about them. Yeah, I get what
yeah.
you're saying. Though. I
But
mean,
yeah, I mean, so when a Westerner looks into the movie and they see it, they're not necessarily knowing all of that behind it, and they're thinking kind of like what you just said. Why would you do that? That was really stupid. In his mind, it was a toy. He was using it as a bluff. It wasn't a big deal.
yeah, because I think
Whereas,
he says to Hina at one time, doesn't he? When after he's pulled it out,
yeah,
she says something to him, and he says, I didn't think it was real.
yeah,
He says, I didn't think it was real. I thought it was a toy. It's not till he fires it for the first time into the roof.
Ruth, yeah, that he realized it.
Everybody suddenly realizes this thing is not a toy. This is a real handgun. Um, we
Well, it wasn't
find
when
out,
he fired it in the roof. It was, when he was having the scuffle with the
yeah,
Yakuza that
he
he fired
pulled the
it,
trigger and
and it was like a shock to him.
yeah, it kicked up and it went
Yeah.
upwards. As Hina said, you could have killed him. He
Hmm.
said, well, I thought it was a toy.
Yeah.
I mean, It's debatable. I mean, as I said, had he had a bit more maturity, even as a Japanese individual male, I think, a 17 or 18-year-old Japanese male would have treated the firearm a little bit more respect and went, well, I don't know what you are, live or not, put it back, leave it there, it's in the rubbish. Because I think it's the police that actually mentioned that the weapon was used in a crime of some description.
Correct, which is why they were looking for him already.
Hmm.
Because
Well, they
later
were looking
on,
for a runaway, and then
yeah,
mm,
because when they start to question,
oh,
um,
hello,
what, you there?
have I lost you again? Have
No,
I
I
lost
am
you?
still here. I am
Oh,
still
good.
here. Can
Oh,
you hear
good.
me?
No, I'm still connected.
Okay.
I thought I'd lost you, dear.
No,
I
I'm
thought I'd
like,
lost you.
no.
Oh, good. As long as I've not lost you, because I got to admit, yesterday I had a whole heap of problems with my internet. It just decided it didn't want to play.
I've had my own issues with that. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's the weather out there that's doing it to us. Yeah, it
Well,
doesn't want us. Speaking of heavy rain and things like that. Uh,
yeah. Atmospheric, shall we say?
yes. Well, maybe it has to do with all of the little water sprites that are up there that look like jellyfish.
And don't forget the whale. Don't forget the whale.
I'm like, there's another space whale. The
Yeah.
second I started to hear it, I'm like, and even though in the movie it's not depicted as a whale, it's actually depicted as a dragon.
Yeah.
It has whale sounds. The drawings pretty much look like a whale. Yeah.
So
So
your mind went to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
galaxy, exactly, exactly. Oh,
All,
that
all,
space whale.
all that was missing, all that was missing was the oh no, not again.
That actually went through my mind simply because I have seen. We've had uh, Ahsoka, which is a Star Wars spinoff. We've had that deal with space whales. We've had space whales in Star Trek. Uh, we've had space whales somewhere else. And the second I heard that that's exactly Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy went through my mind. And then, oh no, not again.
Yeah.
So,
So see, we do watch other things. We just don't watch anime. We do watch other things.
yes, we
You
do.
know, we just happen to enjoy watching anime. Well, I do. But nowadays, I enjoy watching anime a little more.
I
I'm not.
love
I'm not
watching them all.
yeah. My sci-fi thing is, although I wouldn't say it's fading, but it's not as strong as it used to be. If I'm given a choice between watching an anime film like Weathering with You or Your Name or Suzume or Pompoko or any of the films that we've reviewed, and you say, right, you can watch any of those films, or you can watch a Star Trek film or a Star Wars film, I'd likely turn around and say, I'll watch the anime.
I go in spurts of addiction. It's either got to be anime all the time, or Star Trek or Star Wars all the time, or Doctor Who all the time. Right now, I have a very, very bad addiction problem to something that I got into about a year and a half ago, and I've drug Michael into this now too, which is vertical reels, which are vertical love stories. They're shot up like this instead of like this. And it's basically we had a guest because we interviewed some of the actors on it, and his way of putting it was it's like TikTok and Hallmark had a baby, and that's my addiction right now that I'm doing. So it's like,
Well,
okay, there are times I go, okay, I need to stop, I need to clear my brain out, and I'll like pull up an anime movie and watch that just to
yeah,
clear the brain out.
yeah. Reset, press the button. Where's the reset
Exactly.
button? Yeah. I must be honest to say, I think that's why I've got this thing on the anime at the moment. Is I'm trying to clear my brain of lots of other things that are going on, and I find anime in its own strange way brings me down. It settles me down. I can see it, watch it, enjoy it for what it is.
It does not sound strange at all if you think about it.
Mm.
Anime has gorgeous visuals,
Oh, this certainly does.
amazing music that's both uplifting and relaxing,
Hmm.
and an immensely interesting storyline as well.
Oh yeah,
So
I mean some of
why
the
wouldn't all those things work on your brain and the serotonin levels to help bring you
mm,
down and to relax you?
well precisely. I mean, I find the group, the Radwimps, I've listened to other stuff of theirs on YouTube, and they certainly have a very distinctive sound, and a distinctive style, which for an Asian group, I find quite, I quite like it. I can listen to it quite a lot. Another one I listen to quite a lot, Asian style singer is Lisa, who's also Japanese.
Yes, I know, Lisa.
Yeah, she was in the anime Angel Beats.
Yes.
She was the lead singer of Girls Dead Monster.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to, if you ever want to listen to Lisa with singing one of the songs from that particular anime, and you want to see her in full flow, go onto YouTube, put Lisa Crow song live, and you will see a picture of her. She's wearing like a tutu. Just hit it, put it on full blast, sit back and watch. Uh, I'll tell you what, when the song's finished, you sort of take one look at the girl and you think, how the hell have you managed to keep going?
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as that group starts, she's all over the stage. She's up that side, up the stairs, she's across the stage, up the stairs, that side, back down, center stage. And at the same time, she's singing, but she's playing the audience. She's getting the audience in with her. And it's that vitality, that connection that she has. And I think Radwimps have got the same. Oh, I'm looking at me.
You switched it on me.
Yes. Damn, got caught again. It's that vitality. And as I said, the Radwimps have got the same. Well, for me, they do. They have that same tug. So,
Okay.
another singer I quite like, actually, Rifu, which I haven't heard from for some times. She's another one.
Okay. I don't think I know that one.
Um, Hurumasuku, or Wandering Sun. She
Oh, okay.
does. She does the closing song on that
Okay, then yes, I do.
for you. That's the only one for Rifu that I can remember. It's a bloke that does the opening song, and it's Rifu does the closing song for you. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Um, I have a question for you. Did
Yes.
you think when she went up, basically when she disappeared and went back up into the cloud, and all of those little water sprites were around her, did those look like those sucker fish things that are now so popular when people go in to have their feet cleaned when they stick their feet in the stuff they nibble off their feet, the little
Um,
fish?
Come to think of it, possible. It's possible. I mean, the thing is, you can't actually tell what size they are because they're all, you've got big ones and little ones.
Little ones,
Whereas
yeah.
the ones that you put your feet into, they're all little diddy things. The ones that she goes through, like the sprites that are fish shaped, they come in all shapes and sizes. But I think, yes,
Interesting.
as you would say, they are based, I suppose, on that. Um, the one thing I didn't get with the film is at one stage you've got the two young lads in the alleyway, and one of them actually points up, and you see it. It's like a large balloon. It's the only way to describe it. It's a large balloon which suddenly bursts and they get soaked.
I know.
I
Can
never
you
quite.
can you imagine walking to work and all of a sudden, it's a nice sunny day, and all of a sudden this gigantic water balloon bursts on you out of the sky?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I never quite got that. I thought, well, how did that develop?
I think it's she sucks up all the rain during the time to make it sunny, and it's all stored in one gigantic balloon, I guess is a
Yeah,
good way to describe it. And then when the amount of time that her limits run out, then it just bursts. That's how I interpreted it.
yeah, true, true. I was yeah. Well, that tends to go with Shinkai again, because during an interview they were discussing the film, and he says, and I quote, "I thought, should I make my next film so that I don't anger more people, or should I make a movie that angers them further? And I chose the latter." So he decided that he was going to make a film that people would sit like we're doing now and pull to bits.
Interesting. That is actually very interesting because several people that I have talked to haven't gotten that part of it. Um, when they pull the bits, the best they've done is, like you said early on, was it's environmental. Well, yeah, that's a part of it, but that's not, you know, there are so many other little hidden things in there.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so he took the approach that he wanted it for you to sit there and hmm, not sure about this, and then as we're doing, go through the film. But I mean, anger people more? I don't know. It didn't make me angry. Parts of it confused me, but it didn't make me angry.
One of the things, people that I talk to, uh, and they are huge anime watchers as well. One of them said the other day to me when I was asking her about this, um, what do you think uh, Suga's uh, the reason he stepped in all of a sudden, even though he was trying to get custody of his daughter and had, let the kid go, what made him step back in so much and be so helpful to the point he, in the end, wound up kind of stepping forward and stopping the cops from getting them back together? And everybody says, well, it's because he sees himself when he was, a youth. That's not the reason. He saw that because of his own immense love with his wife and how much he missed her. And he
Yeah,
saw the love between them. And if, this kid could get the chance to get together with the woman that he loves, or the girl that he loves the most, is his other half, is, the other half of his heart, his other half of his soul, give him that chance to do it.
exactly. He was giving the kid the chance he never got with the wife.
Exactly. And so that kind of made me a little frustrated that people didn't see it that deeply. And it makes me think, am I overanalyzing?
No, no. Excuse me a moment.
No problem.
Sorry, bit of a cough. No, I
No
mean,
problem.
when I even when I first saw the film, I straight away I thought, I know why you're doing it, Sam. And it's not because you feel sorry for the kid, and it's not because you see yourself in the kid. The kid's trying to do something that you want to do. You want to go and see your wife one more time. You want to hold her one more time.
Yeah.
This kid wants to do the same with Hina. And you can see that and you can feel that. So that's why you step in. I got that straight away.
Yeah, that's what I got too. And like I said, I have been, even by some of our esteemed colleagues, have been said to think I think too deeply into things and overanalyze. And I'm like, no, I think that's what it's leading to, especially going back to saying these are anime movies, but in particular, this creator that has done, Weather Review, Your Name, he is geared to be the absolute next Miyazaki. And who better footsteps to do than Miyazaki, who puts in so many different layered meanings that you have
Yeah,
to pick through?
very true. I mean, there is an interview. It's on the actual DVD. He does an interview, and he references Miyazaki, and he says in the interview that a lot of Westerners, when they think of anime, the first name they go to is Miyazaki.
Miyazaki.
And as he then rather humbly admits that your name proved that there could be another way. You didn't
Oh,
have to be a Miyazaki to do a good anime film. It opened up another avenue, which, when you think about it, in lots of ways, um, I could not see Miyazaki doing Your Name or Weathering with You. It's not a Miyazaki type
mm-mm.
subject that he would broach.
No.
Miyazaki is more of a fairy tale. He likes the fairy tales.
I think
Oh,
the closest that he would have come would have been The Wind Rises.
oh, I lost you again.
Oh, you're all
I lost
frozen
you
on me,
again.
girl.
I
I
don't know
can hear
why.
you in the background, but you're frozen. Yeah, no. All right. Well, she tries to work that out. Um, why don't I take a quick? Oh, you're back. Okay. I was going to say, well, you tried to work
I'm
that
back.
out. I was going to
I'm
do
back
a
in the
quick
room.
dinner break, but um,
Yeah, you did in the break. Do it in the break. I don't care. Go ahead. I can set things up then, you see.
no problem. Um, eh, when they were, sitting there trying to come up with something to eat, something went through my mind. I'm sorry, I could not figure out how you could do potato chips, an egg, and the noodles into. Okay, she had the ramen, but then she had something off to the side. I couldn't figure out what that was until I looked very carefully, and she had to have had something else there. And I think it was udon.
I
And
think
I
so, yeah.
and I think what she wound up making was like yakisoba bowls.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, yeah.
And one of my favorite things is, yeah, you can go and you can buy kind of like you do the ramen noodles, the quickie that you can, you know,
Mhm.
throw in to do yakitori and different things. Um, I actually years ago started doing this, and it's quick, super like 15-minute, recipe. Is if you go and you go ahead and you buy the pre-done noodles. They're a little bit thicker. They're not a soba noodle because the soba noodles don't work out as well. Um, and then if you can just, finely chop whatever, it can be any vegetable. You want to get rid of whatever's in your refrigerator. It's starting to go. Carrots, celery, peas, whatever. Um, put them in with the,
What we call in the forces a hash magandi. Whatever you can get your
exactly
hands on. Yeah.
that. Throw in that in the kitchen sink, and you're good to go.
Oh yeah.
Um, but no, I mean, mix all that up, fry it with a little bit of garlic in some olive oil and put in there is a sauce that you can buy, but you don't have to if you're real quick. just pour in a little bit of extra soy sauce with it, mix it well, and then go ahead and because you have a little bit of the oil and everything in there, with maybe you have to judge it, but probably 2 or 3 tablespoons of water. Put the noodles in there as well. Stir it all up. Cover it for about 5 minutes. Let it set and stir it, and then you can put in whatever protein you want with it. Chicken, beef, shrimp.
Yeah.
If you do chicken, one of the ways I found out was really kind of cool is to chop it up fairly fine, and maybe roll it in a little bit of cornstarch and kind of pre-fry it a little bit. Basically, it's cooked before it goes in. In a little bit of spices and soy sauce and whatever maybe sauces that you particularly prefer. Put it in there and with the noodles, serve it, and literally it's ready in like 15 minutes. It's a super quick one. It's easy, and like I said, don't you can buy the noodles dry and they'll absorb more of the moisture, but they're not as good as the
Yeah.
pre-done ones that you can just buy. They're already prepackaged, and you just
Yeah.
buy it, open it, and they're good to go. And most of the time, you can find them. They're starting, at least here in the United States, you're starting to be able to find those in just regular supermarkets. But if you can't, if your supermarket doesn't have it, you can't find. All Asian markets carry it.
Actually, over here now, some of the what I would call mainstream supermarkets are starting to carry an awful lot of Asian food. The supermarket that I use, they have
Hmm.
got a complete aisle, both sides, all the way down. And you've got noodles, you've got the sauces, you've got the mixtures to do the bits and pieces. It's all there. And if you really, really want to do that kind of stuff, it's there. You can do it.
Well,
And I
it's
mean,
like
I got to be honest, got to be honest
yakitori
to
is
say,
so easy. Sorry.
yeah, this film, when Hina is actually making that food,
Hmm.
you could almost, if you had the ingredients, you could follow along with it. It
Oh yeah.
it shows you, it takes you and shows this is what this there, this there. And you can see her chopping up the spring onions and all sorts.
Hmm. I like there at the end how she went and she did some green onions, and just chopped it up and put it on top, with the,
Oh
with
yeah,
the egg and the whole bit. But yeah,
yeah. I mean, there you go. I forgot the I forgot the onions. Run away, catch the onions, cut them up.
one
But
thing I found very, very sweet with the movie is, like I said, how grown up mentally she is.
hmm,
But when he realizes that she's almost going to be 18 and he's going to get her the present, he winds up spending over 3 hours looking for that specific ring for her that he wanted to get her.
exactly. But who's the person that sells him the ring?
Gee, I don't know. Have we seen her face maybe before?
I have a funny feeling we've fallen over that particular character before.
I think we have. Possibly in the
Yeah,
previous movie
I think
as
so.
her
Yeah,
leading actress.
didn't she have to dodge a falling meteor or something? Bit of a
Yeah, I believe she
yeah,
did, and kind of wound up being in a guy's body.
yeah. She was body swapping, so she knows what it's like on both sides.
Yep.
Yeah,
As a matter,
it
uh,
was
uh, uh,
Mishua, yeah, Mishua that sold him the ring.
yep. As a matter of fact, she wasn't body swapping on this one, but we got to see the boy in that one as well.
Itaki,
Yep, when he went to go see his grandma when she hired the sunshine girl,
you
to
know.
get rid of the rain for a little bit.
Yes, it was what did they call it? Udon or something? Odon. It's where they do the burning to bring the spirit.
Yeah,
And she needed a sunny day, clear sky, so they could see the smoke to come back.
I thought that was very sweet that when Grandma found out that it was a year from the time her mother had died too, that would build another fire for her mother as well.
yeah, and the dancing they were doing in the smoke to bring the spirit back.
Right.
That's something you don't often see.
No, it's not. Well, okay. You don't often see it in Western culture. However, you do see it in American indigenous culture.
Must be honest and say, I can't say I've seen it myself, but I don't doubt it.
Oh,
Doubt
if
it.
you ever get a chance to come to the United States, there are some very wonderful ceremonies that you can see, and it's very spiritual. It's very awesome to see.
Yeah, yeah, I've got to admit, a bit of a laugh I did have in the film is the little brother cross dressing to
Oh,
escape from child protection.
oh, no, no. The little brother, I think there are two characters in my mind that stole the show.
Yeah,
Absolutely stole the show. That was the little brother and the cat rain.
the little brother and the cat.
Uh huh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the cat. Yeah. Yeah,
Especially
that's true.
in the final scenes with the cat when it's been 3 years later,
Oh
and the
yeah,
cat and Suge, and the cat's nodding right along. I mean,
yeah,
they're like in sync.
yeah. And he says,
But,
"Oh, you've grown," and the cat sort of sits there and goes, "Mm-hmm."
mhm.
What she say? That's what happens when you get older. You get bigger.
But no, the little brother I think was absolutely hysterical on the bus, and he's chatting up this girl. And comes the
Yeah,
girl stop, and you see the outside of the bus, where the back door opens so you can exit, and the front door opens so the new passenger can come on. And you see two girls cross,
yeah,
and the other girl goes down and, and sits with the brother, and he gets all chit chatty with her, and I absolutely love the comment. Um, it's like, God, he's a player,
yeah,
and the kid's only 12.
yeah, yeah. Middle schooler, and he's teaching a 16-year-old how to pick girls up. That's why he ends up calling him senpai
Yeah, but
because he knows.
then when he's in child protective services, the front desk is saying he's got another one to see him. He's awfully popular,
Yeah.
you know. And they come
Oh yeah.
in,
So
and it's like,
the
oh,
two.
okay, you're two, side piece number one and side piece number two. I think they're introducing to each other, and then we
Mhm.
come to find out that one is the ex, and she still didn't look too happy about the whole thing. If you noticed, she's taking
Yeah.
the wigs and stuff off, but that was funny.
Oh yeah. I mean, when he suddenly just appears in the building, I mean,
Yeah,
even the lad, he sees this what he thinks is a girl just appear, this pink bundle hit the copy, and then he realizes and he hears, I think the bloke saying "leg it," and that's
yeah,
when he disappears.
she
But
shakes his leg. Yeah,
yeah, but you see this, it's literally like a pink bundle of pure frustration appear
oh
out of
yeah.
nowhere. That's a bit of comedy, which I quite enjoyed. I
There,
really
there
did.
was there was a couple things with the comedy that was funny.
Mm.
One was early on when he's helping clean the apartment, and he's going through the bedroom and he's cleaning all the trash in the bedroom. And he comes up with the bra,
Oh yeah,
and she's like, "It's not mine," which makes me
yeah.
wonder whose was it. If his wife's been dead for a couple of
Number of
years,
years, yeah.
okay, it's not his, which we find out is his cousin, his niece. Um, so whose was it?
Well, precisely. You don't get the answer to that, do you?
No, you do not.
No. So you tend to sit and think, well, okay,
Well,
is he a
one
player
night,
too?
one night maybe he was so lonely he, picked up somebody, but
Mm,
which is entirely possible considering early on all he was pretty much doing was drinking and you know trying to get rid of those memories. Um, that was funny, and when they find out that it's actually his niece, not his girlfriend. And then he starts looking at her boobs again.
Of course. Of course.
I'm like, seriously.
Yeah. You think, we know where your mind's going all the time.
But you're supposed to be in love. And yet you're doing this. You are a typical male.
Well, of course. That's how it works. Unfortunately, that is how it works for young lads in Japan.
I think that's how it works with young lads worldwide, and possibly even off this planet.
Yeah, I would say if yeah, most young boys given the chance, they don't talk to a young lady eye level. It's you have to go.
It's like, hello, I'm up here. I'm up here.
Faces here, not here. It's up here.
It's like my niece, my daughter, and myself are very well endowed, and that was the one thing that all of us. It's like, hello, up here a little bit, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, here's something that we were talking about real locations.
Yeah.
Here's a location that you see in the film, and this here is the Shinjuku Station south entrance.
Okay.
That
got pretty well underwater.
Pretty much. By the end of the film, it's pretty much underwater. Yes, as is the Tokyo Eye, the big. It's like the Eiffel Tower in the middle of Tokyo.
And so did the Rainbow Bridge.
Hmm.
The major, huge bridge running through Tokyo there at the end, it was, other than the tippy tops, underwater.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Here's something. Let's see if you can work with this.
Uh-oh.
Okay, let me see if you can work this one out. Does this look familiar to you?
Oh, yes. That's if you look right where my little arrow is. She was standing about right there.
Yeah, she was roughly where the tree is on the left, on the right-hand side. As you look, well, from where I'm looking at it, it's on the side of the screen. That's roughly where she was stood when she gets. And it's the south exit of Tabata Station, and it's where Hodaka sees Hina in the closing scene.
And I am not exactly 100% certain. We did not see that one in Your Name as well. That particular.
I'm highly possible. That's Nakota Shinkai. That is the logo of the film. And there's the English title, Weathering with You, and the Japanese one is Child of the Weather. And there's the ferry.
Yep.
So, these are all, as I say, you can, as with Weathering with You, as with
Your Name.
the film, Your Name, you can find the real places in the whole of the film. You can have a look. You can see. And here is some more. You see, get it. Come on. That's it. Here we go again. You see, we have, for your enjoyment, your Yogeki hand in Shibuya. I mean, the top picture is the anime, and there it is below in real life.
Yeah.
And as you can plainly see, it is just as ramshackled in real life as it is in the film. So, You hear this about, oh, the Japanese and Tokyo are so advanced. No, they've got as many problems as we have, if not more, in certain respects. Then you've got the shrine in Ginza. There it is in the anime. Now, I've since been informed that the actual building that it was supposedly on has been knocked down. But you can still go and see that one.
Yep.
So if you ever want to go to Japan and be a sunshine girl, oh boy, there's your chance.
I don't think you could be a sunshine boy considering the legacy of where it supposedly comes from, though.
Oh, I don't, well, you should, yes, you say that. I would agree because the group, the Radwimps, they always classify themselves as rain boys because every time they play live, guess what?
It rains.
Yes, it absolutely chucks it down. So they've decided that they are the rain boys. So they need to find a sunshine girl to get a sunshine on one of their shows eventually. Poor
that
boys.
makes sense.
Yeah. There's the shrine with all the little tabs where you write your prayers. The top one is the anime, and the lower one is real life. And that, I think you'll find that at most of the Shinto shrines.
Mm-hmm.
You can knock them all together. And there is Noji Hill in Toshima City. The top picture is the anime. And you've got to admit, that is some shot to do that
really
by
is.
hand.
Yeah.
And then when you actually see the real thing, which is underneath,
I'll be honest with you. Looking at the top shot, the one that's actually drawn in anime, to me, it just looks like a faded out picture, but I could not tell if it was an actual photograph or not.
Exactly. I mean, the only thing I think gives the top picture away, besides your faded look, is that that reflection that you get on the left-hand side there. Here. Yeah, that sort of rainbow reflection that's on the left-hand side of the film coming this way.
Sure. Yeah.
That to me, but other than, as you say, looking at both, I mean, there is not a lot of difference between those two photographs.
No, there's not.
And for one to be drawn physically, and he says themselves, they draw it singly. Each of those leaves, hand drawn. Each of those bricks in that wall, hand drawn.
No, this is not something that's thrown into a computer. It's a computer, rendition. This is physically by hand.
Yeah, this is somebody sitting there and drawing that. I mean, I don't care where you come from or what you think of animated films. When you see skill like that, it's just mind-blowing.
Oh, it is.
And you consider that really, when it's on the screen during the film, it's and gone. You see it and it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, what, 4 minutes? No, not even that. A couple of minutes in the film, and it's gone. And Rapongo Hills in Roppongi. It's, and there's the helicopter pad.
Mm-hmm.
That's in real life. So it's all there. That I think up where that radar is, up the top there. You see the radar screen or something?
Yes,
that's where she's actually standing when she gets filmed by the helicopter.
Yep.
So if you want to go see all these places and enjoy them, if you ever get to go.
Yeah, there's a second one, unfortunately, that does not exist. I mean, the site still exists, but the Ferris wheel. Do you remember the Ferris wheel in the background?
Yeah.
Where all three of them are jumping up and the Ferris wheel's in the background. Unfortunately, the Ferris wheel is no longer there as well.
Yes.
They have removed the Ferris wheel. But.
Yeah. I mean, there is a list a bit more than what we've just shown you there.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Yeah, I mean, there's a yogi building, which you do see that in Your Name. So there's a crossover there. You've got the Atami building, the Cocoon Tower in Shinjuku, when you see the observation deck, Shiba Park, the Tokyo Tower, that's the Roppongi bit, that's the big Eiffel Tower,
Hmm.
the Yamamoto Tower, the Shibuya Crossing. Now that's
Yes.
very famous because that's the crossing where you've got the four that go around,
Hmm.
and then you've got one that's known worldwide, and yet
I know.
it's in the film. It's in the film. It's really so you can go to the Shibuya Crossing just because you want to see the Shibuya Crossing, but you can also go to Shibuya Crossing and go, ah, here we go, weathering with you.
Exactly.
I mean, they even have a real police station.
A
The
couple other
police,
things that they did as well, which I found absolutely phenomenal, was one, that McDonald's really exists,
mhm,
and it is a four-story McDonald's.
yeah,
You know, and then also if you look in the train station when all the lights and stuff come on and all the stuff in the alleys, it wasn't just okay. We're going to write on there, whatever companies. They went and they did real companies. I mean, I saw Forever 21 in there. And I'm like, oh, I wish
yeah,
it still existed here. It was one of my favorite stores, you know. So
exactly.
it was cool to see those things.
Well, it's like when he's in the McDonald's. If you look behind him, he's sitting at the McDonald's, and you look
Hmm.
behind him, and it actually has on there egg and sausage McMuffin,
Yeah.
and it's there.
Speaking of with immense graphics or attention to detail, the thing I found the most absolutely hysterical and beautiful as well was my niece is basically a manager of McDonald's, and the Big Macs. The
Hmm.
thing I have complained to her is they always put way too much mayonnaise on it and makes you have when you take a bite into it all the stuff off your face. And that was captured beautifully. The second he took the bite, he immediately got mayonnaise
Yeah.
on his face, and I thought that was a pretty good capture.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can, as I said, you can honestly turn around and see that a lot of forethought went into it. You can understand why 2 to 3 years was taken just to bring the film to fruition.
Hmm.
I mean, it is that kind of a film that you have to, although you may not like the film. I mean, there are obviously people who don't. I can't understand why, but you when you see the film, you've got to admire the dedication it must take for an anime artist to sit there and draw real life locations to such a degree that, as you said yourself, when we were looking at the picture of the hill,
Yeah.
one to the other, there wasn't an awful lot of difference on screen. You look at it and you think there's not a lot of difference there.
No, there's not.
And it really does. But hey ho, you never
Um,
know.
I alluded to this a little earlier, but I kind of wanted to round back to the fact that Hina, I think, has been confirmed actually to have been Zeno. I can never pronounce this correctly. Zenyo Rivo, which was the female dragon goddess or the deity, and she is basically in control of all weather and different things.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know much about you know certain deities and things like that. Luckily, my daughter's fiance, she's into just about every deity there is out there, from everything from Greek to you Japanese, Chinese, crosses the board. So I was able to get her help with some of that stuff. And it's kind of confirmed because if you go back through when the priest is talking about the weather, If
Mm-hmm.
you look up, there is an actual 100% um, painting of the deity
Yeah.
on his, and it is the same one that is used in educational books in the same picture. So when he's talking about the weather with all that, so it's pretty much that's a pretty much to me a given confirmed thing that yes, she
Mm.
is
And as we alluded to at the beginning, every action there's a reaction, which Hina unfortunately finds out when she's taken.
yeah,
That you know, you've had your time on Earth. Now you have to pay the bill,
yep,
and that's the supernatural part that Shinkai wanted to go for. He wanted it to be that little bit more supernatural than your name. I mean, your name, I suppose you could say it was slightly mysterious, but it wasn't all that supernatural. Whereas weathering with you is definitely a lot more along
supernatural.
the lines of supernatural, and it delves a lot more into the Shinto side of things.
Well, definitely.
Um, I don't know whether that's a conscious effort by Shinkai or not, but it
Oh, I think it was
certainly.
a very conscious effort to it, with everything that we have seen him one do with your name, and then this one.
Mm,
I expect the third installment of Suzume to have as much, if not more, because I do think that's what he was striving for.
okay. I don't know if you've actually watched Suzume yet.
I have.
Well, then, yeah. We will get to Suzume when we get to Suzume,
Yeah,
and then we can really let rip on our thoughts. I know my thoughts on it, and I got to say,
hang on for the ride.
yeah, don't let go.
Yeah.
Do not let go because the three films, as you say, Your Name, Weathering with You, Suzume, they are separate films. They are separate entities. They stand on their own. Yes, there is a crossover between Your Name and Weathering with You. I'm not so sure there's a crossover between Weathering with You and Suzume. At least I haven't found one as yet. I have watched Suzume more than once, and I have been looking at all the characters. And as yet, I have not actually managed to spot one from the other.
Crossover, no. But like I said, as far as a representation, like I said, you go back to Sergio Leone with the dollars whole thing. It wasn't a trilogy per se. It was a trilogy. It
Yeah,
was a mindset of problems that were happening, disaster or vengeance, things like that. So
yeah. There is a common, as you said, with Weathering with You, not Weathering with You. Hey, Your Name. There's a thread,
yeah,
and the thread, as we agreed with Your Name, threads are what connects life. And there is a thread that connects Your Name to Weathering with You, and that same thread runs through, in a slightly different fashion, to Suzume.
hmm, most
So
definitely.
there is a thread. It may be tenuous. I'll grant you that it may be tenuous, but the thread is there. And if you watch Suzume, you'll see the thread. As I said, if you watch 5 centimeters per second, you can see where the thread was first started.
Dewoven, yeah.
Yeah, I mean there are earlier films than 5 centimeters per second. I mean, there's the Voices of Distant Stars,
Hmm.
where
Those are
the girl is
actually
off in a spaceship.
those actually you almost want to watch. And yes, the thread is there and the pattern is starting to be formed, but if you truly want to watch those, and I would recommend you watch those for the animation themselves
Yeah.
alone.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the one film I didn't realize that he'd done, and I have, is Garden of Woods. I didn't realize he'd done that, but it's
I have Garden of the Woods too. I didn't think he'd done it either.
where is it? There it is. I didn't realize this was his Sinkai film until I heard it mentioned, and that's that one there.
Okay.
And it's about a young 16-year-old and I think she's 25. She's either 25 or 27-year-old, and he makes shoes. And they only meet in the garden when it's raining. Sound familiar?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
He has a thing against rain, doesn't he?
He has a thing about rain, and he has a thing about distance, and he has a thing about a single boy and a single girl.
And you throw in a little bit of supernatural somewhere in there.
Yeah. And I didn't realize he'd done Garden of Woods. And as I said, it wasn't until it was mentioned in it, I thought, I've got that. I've watched that. Is that one of his? And I had to go and look. And it is. It actually says on here, Mikoto Shinkai.
Interesting. You know, just with that, because I do have it, I'm actually going to have to go back and watch it.
Yeah. So he has, you know, some of the bylines on this film is a faint clap of thunder, clouded skies, perhaps rain comes. If so, will you stay here with me? It's a byline for the film.
Yeah, okay. We see where that's going. Okay.
Yeah, that's Garden of Words. So 5 meters per second, Garden of Words, Voices from a Distant Star. It's all, you know, and as I say, when you watch 5 meters per second, I think you can see where he's getting it together. And then you can follow it slowly as the thread grows and it gets to Your Name, Weathering with You, and then Suzume. You can see. And I got to say, yeah, he is a worthy successor to
Miyazaki.
He is a worthy successor to that man. In fact, in some ways,
don't say it.
He can, yeah. I would say in storytelling, he can sometimes surpass him.
Okay.
He can in some places he can surpass Miyazaki, but you know, put them head to head, I wouldn't want to call it. I really wouldn't want to call it.
Can you imagine if they both had a movie come out the same year and were up for an award? Like we're up for both movies were up for Oscars?
Yeah. Could you imagine if the pair of them got together to do one film?
My God. Yeah, oh.
What would you get?
My brain is going off like the fireworks in the movie at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, you would have the visuals of Weathering with You or Your Name and the storytelling of Miyazaki.
Wow.
Put the
can we petition that?
Eh?
Can we petition for that?
Petition?
Yeah. Fans worldwide want this.
Yeah, you'd have to be more than petition. Oh dear. You'd have to crawl on your belly for miles and beg them, especially Miyazaki, because he, as we very well are aware, he has his own way of doing things.
Yes, he does.
He's very driven in the way that he does things, and me probably working with Shinkai would probably strain to breaking point. But if they could do it, if they work together and get a whole film, especially a nice 2-hour long film,
yeah,
and they could agree on the subject, as I said, Miyazaki doing the storytelling, Shinkai doing the animation and the music. Wow. I don't
Yeah,
think Disney would stand a chance.
I don't think it would either.
I don't think any of the Chinese anime would stand it. I think the two of them put together would blow it all. They'd blow it all away. They'd
I agree, 100%.
be something. It would be something, wouldn't it? we can dream on that one.
Oh, boy, you have my brain just going so many ways with that statement. That's probably the best statement I've heard so far this year.
Yeah, I certainly would be straining at the leash. A, to see it, and B, to own it.
Oh
I'd,
yeah.
I'd, I'd want it on DVD or Blu-ray. I want a
Oh
solid
yeah.
copy. I
No,
don't
I'm
want
the
it
same with
online.
you.
Yeah, I don't want it online. I want a solid copy. Mine.
For that, yeah, I would too.
Yeah, because
Um, yeah. One thing I really did find kind of amazing in the movie, kind of shifting directions here just a little bit, was the ending as far as how easy he got off with the punishment. Because, like I said before, going back to it, what the penalties are in Japan for so many things, having the ammunition, having the firearm, attacking the cops, with said weapon, the escaping, the fact that he was a runaway from home, which was how it all started. There were so many charges stacked up on there, some that should have put him in prison for life. And yet, all he got pretty much was a slap on the wrist and a chance to restart his life. You go home, you finish, high school, and you basically keep your nose clean for the next 3 years, and you
yeah,
can come back and do whatever.
yeah. As you say, I think something which, if you know anything about the Japanese legal system, is a little bit of a stretch
Yeah.
for him to actually walk away um, in that fashion. But it does say here, Hokada realizes he's fallen in love with Hina, escapes from custody with the help of Suga's niece, Natsumi,
Mm-hmm.
the evil Knievel of the anime. If you think about it, she really, that little moped of hers really does
It,
do wonders.
yeah.
Yeah. They surround Hogada in the building, but Suga, inspired by his desperation to find Hina, helps him escape. At the rooftop shrine, he jumps through the Torii gate and is transported into the sky, where he finds Hina and asks her to return with him, insisting that she let go of her worries about the weather and start living for herself. As soon as they return to the rooftop shrine, Hina, Hodaka, Nasumi, and Nagi and Suga are all arrested. So it seems like the whole kit and caboodle get arrested.
Got arrested. Yeah.
Yeah. And the heavy rains resume. The kid himself is sentenced to 3 years probation. As you say, with some of the offences.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he is sent back home in Kuzoshima.
The island that he was originally on.
Yeah, which you find out where he come from, because you never do find out during the actual film. It's only when you actually get to the end. Then he returns 3 years later. The rain's been falling, and Tokyo has lost its dockside.
And here's the thing, just speaking on that just briefly. Um, you have to remember your natural history and geology with Tokyo and with Japan. At that point, Tokyo was already pretty much underwater until it started to be built up by,
Well,
civilization and
as
man.
the grandmother says, as Taki's grandmother says, originally Tokyo was a big bay,
Exactly. That's what it was.
and yeah, and the parts that are underwater when he comes back after 3 years are the parts that they've as you so rightly pointed out, that's the parts that they reclaimed from the harbour.
Mm-hmm.
And all nature's done is said, go away, I'm having it back.
Exactly.
So, and like as the priest says, what's normal? What is the normal weather? You don't know. What is normal this year is not normal next year.
Exactly.
So you have all that running around in the background, and it's a backhanded way of saying, look at what's happening with the weather and the environment now.
True.
Because you've got places like Australia, it's getting flooded. The States are getting flooded. We've got places here that you've only got to mention the word rain and everybody's running for the nearest bucket because they know the water's coming up.
Well, I know a few years ago it got so bad in certain spots in India, um, that so I had some friends that were worried about, were they going to get out of certain areas and not drowned? It was that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's quite. It it has its own little, like a Miyazaki film. It has its own little layers
Yeah.
and messages. Each person that watches it may take something different away
Different
from
it. Mm-hmm.
I mean, what did I take away from it? I took away determination. Literally, the determination of those two kids to keep going. Hina's determination to keep her and her little brother together, to do whatever she had to do. Which at one part of the film, when she's with the Yakuza recruiter going to the bar, if you've got any modicum of sense, you know what's going to happen if she walks inside that bar.
Oh yeah.
And for a girl of that age to even contemplate that, just to keep the family going, just to get the money, that's one hell of a young lady.
And she would not be the first in real life to have done that either.
No, exactly. The lad, he didn't want to go home. He was determined to do his own thing. Again, you see, determination. He wanted to be him, and he felt he could only be him in Tokyo. Yeah.
We don't know what he was trying to escape from home, but
no, you're not given that.
Yeah, but to want to go to that extreme at 16 to be on your own and prefer to do it, at that point with no support, no nothing, it had to have been a pretty given drive to do that.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think your name, Mitsuha, you look at Mitsuha's life. I mean, she had Granny, she had the sister, and then she had the father. Look at the way the father was towards Mitsuha. I mean, he was very authoritarian. No matter what she said, it was his way or the highway. And I would not be surprised that if you look into the kid's background, it's probably something of the same
yeah.
Ilk. Although, as you say, we don't see that. But
exactly.
I think it's similar, which is why he physically gets up and leaves, whereas Mitsuha only hints at leaving.
At it. Yeah.
She's prepared to wait to graduation before she escapes.
Yeah.
Which she does.
It wasn't as desperate for her.
Well, I don't know. A comet bouncing around on top of your village. I'd say that's pretty desperate.
Well, no, that wasn't what I was referring to. I was referring to.
I know. I'm sorry. I was being facetious, my young lady. I was being facetious.
It went over my head. Sorry.
Yeah, I was being facetious. No. The father was authoritarian, but I don't think he was strict. in the physical sense. I think for the boy, it might have been slightly more hands-on,
Yeah.
which is why he thought, no, I don't want to do this. I want to go. And he up and left it. And you can understand,
Oh, yeah.
there's young kids doing that even today. There are kids who just, I'm going to the shops, walk out and you never see them again.
Unfortunately, I know several that's what's happened in their lives, and I get so angry because here in the United States, with my line of work, what I did, I was a mandated reporter,
Mm-hmm.
and to know stuff was going on in my kids' school, and the fact that I was also on the parent association board, it made it even more frustrating because I knew what was going on. I knew these people, and then I would listen to the stories from these kids because they'd come and hang out with my daughter. They were some of my daughter's best friends.
Yeah.
And it was a fine line you have to walk between, is it abuse or is it just extremely strict parenting?
Exactly. But I mean, did you say strict parenting? I mean, some people think that hardline Christian parents is hardline parenting. They don't lay their hands on per se. Some do.
Still mental.
Yeah. And they literally beat 7 barrels of crap, as you say, mentally using the Bible.
Yeah.
Do this and you'll burn in hell. If you want to cross the pearly gates, you have to do this. You have to do that. And the kid suddenly turns around and thinks, you know what? Take your Bible, take your God, and I'm off.
Pretty much so.
Pretty much. Anyway, I would like to thank the 3 people who gave us likes. We've got 3 of them. Got Marcia Middleton, Robert S. Burns, and JD Blaha. I think that's how you say it.
Baha, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much for the likes. We old folks, we want the likes. We need that. It's a bit like Dracula with the blood. We're drowning in it. We need it.
Yes.
And I'm grateful. Very grateful. Saves me pestering my friend here because if I don't get a like, I pester her. And she hates me pestering.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Yeah, so you don't want me pestering her? Give me a like.
Then again, they might want you pestering me, so they're not going to give you a like.
Talk to the hand. But yes, I've watched this more than once. I have watched this more than, and every time I watch it, there is a little bit extra that I pick up. Something I've missed the first time round. I think, oh, I missed that.
I think you would the more times you see it.
Yeah.
And it's like with me, with any movie, especially certain movie which has to do with a large shipwreck. Let's put it that way. I have probably watched that movie well over 200 times. And every time I see it, I still pick out something different. Either something that wasn't accurate, something the photography crew messed up, or just a different little nuance to it. But yeah, you catch things the more you see things.
Oh yeah, the more you see these, the more you think, yep. I mean, as I said, I've watched Your Name several times. I've watched this several times. I must have watched Suzume at least 3 times, and it just, the more you watch them, the more you go into it, you think, wow, just leave me here, just
Yeah.
as they say, it's they say in the song, make the world go away, make the world go away. I'm happy in this little world here, just go away, leave me in my bubble. I'm happy in my bubble. And I suppose that's why I like so many of these animes, because they take you If you allow them, they will take you into their own little world, their own little bubble, and for however long they're actually on the screen for, you're lost in it, and it's so fantastic. And as I said, I watch these things, and by the end of it, I'm just so chilled out. I just don't care about anything. I just sit there and think, "Miss me next one."
Like I said, I think it does something to your serotonin levels between the gorgeous, visuals, the
Oh yeah,
beautiful music, and the storyline. I honestly, truly think it's not just okay, you like the movie and it's your thing to go and sit there and relax. I think it honestly does play on your serotonin levels with these
yeah,
three things.
yeah. It has a certain hook,
Yeah,
and it hooks you, and you allow yourself to go with it. It's just that to me, it's that your name, this Suzume, 5 centimeters per second, despite it not being as polished as your name, they take you. Wolf Children.
oh,
I mean,
that one broke my heart.
yeah, I mean, how you'd never heard of Wolf Children till,
No, I hadn't.
and then you watched it. Think of that, the feeling you had when you first saw that film.
Yeah.
For an animated film to do that to you, it takes some skill. You got to admit it. There's got to be something there, and we're going to review that one day. We're going to review it.
Yes, we have that coming up. I think about a month from now.
Yeah, we've got Wolf Children to come through. Various
There,
others.
in fact, in 2 weeks from now, we are going to be finishing all this up, the trilogy, with Suzume.
Yeah, we will be reviewing Susie May, and I got to be honest and say I've been thinking about it for quite some time and thinking, yeah, I can't wait for Susie May. I want to review Susie May. It's when I first saw it, I thought, what a weird film. And then I watched it again, and I thought, it's even weirder than, oh dear. Are you all right, darling?
Yeah, I just coughed and I was holding onto the laptop and it wiggled.
Oh, it looked like you coughed, sneezed, and
No, I put my mouth over because I was going to cough and I didn't realize I was holding onto the laptop at the same time with the other hand. I was like, oh, wait a minute. What's the other hand doing?
ah, I thought you coughed, sneezed, and then there was an earthquake. And I thought, oh dear, we will lose all connections. Anyway, my love, I've noticed by the time we've been going more than our normal hour and a half.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We're nearly at,
This was a thoroughly enjoyable episode.
yeah, I mean, it's nearly, what, an hour and 40 now.
Ah, well,
Shock horror.
we probably should let other people get on with their day then.
Well, yeah. I mean, and we haven't covered, there's still lots to cover. There's the production, there's the awards, there's the cast. But, to sum it up in one little jingle word, worthwhile.
Definitely.
Worthwhile.
Yeah.
Do you want to spend an hour plus watching something enjoyable, whether in with you or your name? Worthwhile. Watch it, enjoy it, and if necessary, when we're doing Suzume, join us. Tell us your opinion. We want your opinions because that way we can explain our reasoning for how we feel about the film. Yes?
I would agree 100%.
And I will let you do the closing because you're so good at it.
Well, I will do the closing, and I just wanted to say I'm going to probably be spending the rest of my day watching the live stream of our 3 brand new eaglets. The last one just got born early yesterday.
I saw that on your Facebook, yeah.
Yep. So We are going to be watching Eagle Watch, and the last day came out. And three eaglets are not normally something that happens. Two, but three is a rarity. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but it's not as often as it is. And they all look good. So,
Yep.
other than that, whatever you do for your Sunday here, it is a beautiful sunny day. It's going to be up to about 70 degrees here in Northern California. I hope it's nice and not having a weathering review, any type of, yes, and I said weathering review. I wanted review, not with you,
Yeah.
to be anywhere else, and everybody stays fun, enjoyable, and safe. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
We
Have
certainly
fun,
will.
everybody.
Stay safe. Adios.
Adios.